a lot of people were surprised when I left Innova, or when
For
Paul
sure.
left Innova especially. And even if it's not something that's like something monumental that makes someone want to leave, I feel like little things can add up, and just wanting to try something new can be a huge motivator, you know. And these days there's a lot of companies making good discs, and I feel like people might. I know I felt somewhat bottlenecked or somewhat like stuck in my ways when I was staying within a book, and then that was pretty instrumental in making me want to look for other opportunities, and it could be something simple like that, but.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 9. Joining me today, Mr. James Conrad.
Yo, what's up, Luke?
Dude, regular Texan these days. You've been hanging out down south in Austin for a little while. How's your off season been going? Talk about a little bit about what you've been doing.
Yeah, we've been honestly loving staying down near Austin this winter. We spent like Thanksgiving last week in November with my parents out in Blacksburg, Virginia, and then pretty much booked it to Texas. Actually, hanging out with GK Pro guys up at the Hideaway, did that skins match, and from there kind of went down to Austin, and we kind of lucked out. We scored a sweet little spot to rent for a couple months. It's right on a ranch, Carson Creek Ranch down in Austin, and right on the river, only like 10-15 minutes from town.
Yeah, that's awesome. Talk about what brought you down there and why specifically it ended up being Austin, because you purchased a little something.
Yeah, right after the season ended, we ended up buying a bus, like a 36-foot shuttle bus type. So it's a F650 cab, and it's got a big old box on it. It's plenty tall enough for me to stand inside. I think the cabin of the bus is 25 feet by 8 feet. And just to give a little frame of reference, my van's about 13 feet by 6 feet as far as like the cabin dimension. So it's pretty much like triple the square footage of the van. And with Jordan and I being full-time, we've been like 3 years pretty much full-time living in the van, and it's been great, but it's just small, so we're super looking forward to having a little bit more space to spread out.
Totally. What are you looking forward to like adding into that space the most? I mean, you got all the options now, 3 times the space. That gives you some, some stuff.
Totally. Yeah, there's a lot of little things we're excited to add, but I think the biggest like one thing that made us want more space is the ability to like both be able to do something at the same time. I'm sure you're familiar, but if one person in the van is like getting dressed, or if one of us is trying to cook some food, or do anything that takes up a little bit of space, the other person pretty much has to be either like on the bed or in the front seat or outside. And
you get a primary activity and then a secondary activity.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just, more space to do stuff at the same time. You're gonna get, I guess, the bigger bed option is pretty clutch too.
Yeah, I think we'll actually have like a whole separate little bedroom space, so that's gonna be awesome. We're thinking like a little sliding door, so I feel like that'll make it feel way more like a home. Like if we're gonna have someone over to hang out, it could be kind of, I don't know. You don't always want to be hanging out in someone's bedroom or whatever. Like having like a living room and a little kitchen space makes it feel more like an actual home, not just like we're living in a van.
Yeah. Speaking of cooking space, Jordan, a very, very astute chef. All right, so you've driven this thing. You drove it from where?
Yeah, we bought it down in Miami actually, and so I drove it up to Virginia from there, and that's where we got it registered and everything like that. And then drove it from Virginia to Austin, and we.
How you like it? I mean, that's a big rig behind the wheel. You're like a trucker.
I feel like a trucker. It's funny. Like the van's pretty big, but it kind of still feels like a car. But this big old diesel engine, and it sits up super high, like, and that 8 feet wide, like it feels like you're taking up the whole lane. So it's definitely going to be an adjustment. As far as driving on the highway, it was easy though. It just trucks right along, and Yeah, it'll be a pretty big adjustment period though, getting used to like where it's easy to bring it to and like what kind of parking lots we can get in and out of, and it'll be a lot less easy. Like the van, you don't really have to plan ahead. You can wherever you want to go, you can pretty much go. But I think with the bus, we'll definitely be a lot more limited and trying to like post up for a week. And we're thinking about picking up some e-bikes or something so that we can still kind of zip around a little bit easier, rather than just take the van everywhere. We don't want to be taking the bus a lot of the places that it's pretty easy to get the van into.
Yeah, those e-bikes are insane nowadays.
They're
Like,
sweet.
yeah, super efficient. That one at Halloween was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So you have solar now. We've got solar. Really easy setup. Are you going to go with shore power, or are you going to have a solar setup on this thing as well?
We're gonna um, I think we kind of want to do like a trifecta of power options. So that big old diesel engine puts off a serious amount of power, so we want to be charging our battery bank off that when we're driving. We definitely want to have solar on the roof. It's a big roof, so we could fit a bunch of panels up there. I think we're gonna probably do like 5 200-watt panels, something like that.
Are you guys planning on putting something up there that you can like chill up there, or like an area for?
Um, we're definitely considering that. It's not locked in yet. We'll see if it's not like our top priority, but if we get to that, then
Yeah,
that'd be sweet to have a little deck up there.
yeah.
We at least want some access to be able to like go up there and
Mm-hmm.
clean off the solar panels and whatnot
Mm-hmm.
every now and then.
Mm-hmm. What kind of miles per gallon were you getting on that thing from Miami to Texas?
I was I was getting right around 12, which was kind of better than I expected,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's I think it was weighing in like around 15,000 pounds, so it's a big truck.
Whoa.
It's rated for 26,000 just about, so it's got plenty of room to play with as far as the build out goes.
Yeah, yeah. I think that thing was probably packed with people and luggage, you
Right.
know, airport. I mean, it was a shuttle, or right?
Yeah, a shuttle type bus.
Yeah.
It had like a big old wheelchair lift in the back,
Okay.
and
Yeah, yeah,
it's got a full on cab. A lot of those buses that we were looking at had the stairs up into it,
yeah.
were kind of right where the passenger seat would go.
Yeah.
So we were stoked to find one with a double cab. We still have to track down a passenger seat, but there's room to bolt one in up
Yeah,
there.
I'm sure you'll find some options for that.
Hmm.
So, when are you thinking this project is going to be completed? In time for the season to start?
Yeah, that's the plan. I built out my van myself, but the scope of this project was a lot bigger. And as far as the relatively short off season we have, we ended up finding finding some people to help us out with the build. Their business is called Chewy Design Co. And it's pretty sweet. They're located down near Austin, so that's kind of what motivated us to go spend the winter down there. And um, yeah, they actually had a little show on, I think it was on the Magnolia Network or something. It was called Van Go, where so they've built out a ton of vans professionally,
Hmm.
and super stoked that we were able to hire those guys to help us out with the build, and I think they're gonna make it um, not only get it done in a timely fashion, which is important, but probably do a little higher quality work than I might have managed on my own.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, well, let's recap 2022 in your mind. Just put a pin in it. You can say whatever you want, just maybe discuss like how it went for you, how you think it went for disc golf, and what it sets up, for 2023.
Yeah. 2022 felt like a pretty big year. It felt like in the disc golf scene, it kind of felt a little bit more like it was anyone's game a lot of the season. At least on the MPO side, even on the FPO side, it was cool to see Kristen come out and really smash. To see some of the old favorites still stepping up and making a big push. But on the MPO side, I guess a couple people won 4 events, but in the past it felt like to see two people that weren't Paul or Rick, you know, to win 1 or 2 events seemed like almost a big thing, and now it seems a little bit more like it's anyone's game, and whoever gets that hot hand could really come out and make a splash, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's awesome. I think it's great for a sport,
Yeah,
and it really shows how much, I guess, more even the field is getting.
yeah.
Like,
When there's more players in the game, There's more drama at the end.
Totally.
Yeah.
It felt it seems like we had quite a few playoffs this year, even like at least a handful,
It
like 4 or
definitely.
5 playoffs,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that makes it exciting. You know, even as a player, it's exciting, and as a fan, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
super exciting.
Yeah, I just got the goosies thinking about a
Yeah.
couple of those, you know,
Uh-huh.
Simon and Burridge, and then Calvin and Paul just come to mind right off the
Totally.
bat.
And
Yeah.
Aaron and Paul at Worlds,
Oh, of
how
course.
wild
Yeah.
was that it went to another island hole? So crazy.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I just got the goosies doubled, dude.
double deuce, double goosies.
No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, that's awesome. It definitely was a great looking back season for disc golf and sets us up good for 2023. What do you think we've got coming in this year? Is it more the same, or are we expanding into new horizons in your mind?
I think I think we're kind of on a pretty steady trajectory right now, and I heard some rumors that this year the tour might take a pretty different direction, but that didn't really end up being the case. It's a pretty similar tour to what we've seen the last few years,
Yeah.
and I mean I don't think that's a bad thing. I was kind
Hmm.
of excited to maybe check out more new venues and
Hmm.
stuff like that, but
Maybe not go all the way west to start.
right.
That was definitely something that I was hoping to not have to do. But
Yeah, it's definitely a big trip. I mean, if you're already out west in the winter, it's one
yeah,
thing, but
right.
for all the people that are
Yeah.
anywhere near the East Coast, getting all the way to Vegas just to come back to Texas
Yeah.
is pretty extreme. But
We don't know the logistics, obviously, that went into the decision.
um,
Hopefully,
flights are cheap though, so
yeah, to
to
Vegas.
Vegas, yep.
Yeah, subsidize those. Come on, y'all.
Uh-huh.
Bring them gambling dollars our way. Yeah, yeah, 2023, man.
I think it's um, pretty cool that the European tour and all that is definitely gaining some traction.
Yeah,
I think some more players this year will probably spend a little bit longer in Europe
yeah,
and maybe even like a month or 2 months. I think that seeing that continue to grow is going to be super cool. Make it more of a worldwide tour,
yeah,
and having a full-on elite series and a major over in
right.
Europe this summer is going to be a blast.
Yeah, they upgraded Sula
Totally.
to an elite series. Incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that was a
place
fun
was
tournament.
amazing, man. Yeah,
Hmm.
you shot fantastic there on almost no sleep, no practice rounds.
I was playing in Kentucky, and then about 3 days later, I was competing in Norway.
Yeah,
Pretty wild turnaround.
yeah, and you were like you playing fantastic
Right.
right off the bat. That was so fun to watch. Those courses were amazing. How was your time in Norway? Did you?
Yeah, I definitely want to go back. Like what we were just saying with a quick turnaround, I didn't really get to do too much exploring. Like we had a rental car, so we were able to drive around a bit, but definitely would like to hike a couple of those mountains or
Yeah.
something like that this coming
Mhm.
summer.
Mhm.
Trying to work that in. I think it might mean not being able to play in Prince Edward Island if I want to have any extra time in Norway. So
Yeah.
it's always tough to find those, like the where the scale tips. You know, what's more worth it to get a little more time here or to get to get to also play over there.
Yeah. It's trade-offs nowadays. There's so many big events going on. It's cool though that with Sula being elite and the major, there's a lot of points to be accrued in Europe.
Totally,
So it's not wasted time if you think about the end of the year points race, which is such a big deal now. Keeping your card,
totally.
getting the big cash payout in the championship, like it's
Yeah,
never been harder.
you have to play you have to play good golf like consistently to even make it into the tour championships,
No
and
kidding,
that's
dude.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my proudest moment, but I'm a perfect example of that. I was leading the points series for a month or something and didn't make it to the tour championship.
Dang,
Just
yeah.
got passed up by these Europeans that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas started playing good. Vinyl, these killers, man. It's
Killers.
yeah, they are killers, and it's super hard. But that's awesome. All right, so I got an email this morning. The email was from Discmania, and it had some news about Simon Lizotte, somebody who's been in the press a lot recently. There's been rumors going back and forth, and the email said he was leaving, man.
That's pretty wild.
Pretty
It's
wild.
I guess for some people it's probably, I don't know. I feel like there was a ton of rumors circulating,
Yeah, there was.
and so some people thought those were overblown, or
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people were like, "No way would Simon ever leave
Right.
Discmania."
Right.
But
Basically, I mean, he helped create Discmania.
totally, and
Integral. Is that right?
Integral.
Integral.
Yes, you
Thank
got
you, James.
there. But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't surprise me too much. You know, I feel like a lot of people were surprised when I left Innova, or when
For
Paul
sure.
left Innova, especially. And even if it's not something that's like something monumental that makes someone want to leave, I feel like little things can add up, and just wanting to try something new can be a huge motivator, you know. And these days there's a lot of companies making good discs, and I feel like people might. I know I felt somewhat bottlenecked or somewhat like stuck in my ways when I was staying with Innova, and then that was pretty instrumental in making me want to look for other opportunities, and could be something simple like that, but
Just like a fresh challenge almost. Did you feel like that was part of the reason that 2021 went so well for you?
totally makes you. Yeah, I guess when I was with Innova, you know, I felt comfortable throwing my T-bird, throwing my Thunderbird on, and I could step up to a course and know what I was going to throw pretty much on every hole before even tossing it. And having to take a step back and kind of like really analyze your own game on a different level can be a pretty powerful tool.
Yeah, it takes some of the creativity of the shot away if you show up knowing what you're gonna throw, you know,
Right.
instead of like thinking the options and imagining the flights. And that's what we like about disc golf at the end of the day.
Totally.
Throwing a stock shot, you know, on a hole or whatever. I know that you love showing people that fresh line, that little Anheuser. So
A little Anheuser straight shot.
yeah, all right. We've actually got a video too, you guys. We've got a Simon Lizotte announcement video that I have not seen.
I haven't seen it either. It just dropped this morning, I
Yeah,
guess.
James has not seen it. And it starts right here. Simon Lizotte leaving Discmania. But let's talk about this for a second. He just dropped it 4 hours ago. It says 30,000 views. That's his third video that he's dropped in the last 5 days. This man is incredible. Like, we discussed it just for a second before the podcast, but like, what a hustle, dude.
So many. That's so many hours going into each one of those videos, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine he's gotten pretty efficient with the editing,
For
but
sure, right?
even just filming one scene can take a while,
Yeah.
and let alone to
Yeah.
then go ahead and edit it. And
Yeah. There's so many different ways to hustle in this sport. I think it's kind of unique. You know, we see Simon 3 videos in the last 5 days, over 225,000 views. That's one way to do it. Or you can be in a backyard hitting 50 footers for 2 hours at a time, 3 times a day, like Ricky Wysocki. There's so many ways to do this.
There are a lot of
hustle
ways
thing
to
in
do
disc
it.
golf. It's honestly, it's awesome and it's unique. So, all right, let's watch this video. We might pause it a couple times, discuss maybe something, but
Yeah, let's see why he's leaving.
yeah, let's find out.
It's wild.
Wow. This is definitely the most unexpected and tough video I've ever made. I know the rumors have been brewing online for weeks, but it is true, and I never thought this day would come, but this day is here. I am leaving Team Discmania now. And this news may be shocking to some of you. Maybe some of you are disappointed. Maybe some are excited and happy. Maybe sad. I really don't know what the public is going to think about this move. Maybe to a lot of you this isn't even a big deal, or maybe it's a bigger deal than I want it to be or even realize that it is. I just don't know. Let me start by just making one thing clear. There was nothing wrong at Discmania, or nothing happened that made me want to leave. And if you would have asked me 3 months ago what the odds are of me ever leaving Team Discmania, I would have said, Discmania for life, baby. And I'm totally okay with that. I would have been totally okay with that. But after this crazy season I had, I guess it was just a matter of time until someone reached out and made me an offer. And that happened. And it was just an offer I had to take a closer look at. And I've received offers in the past, of course, but usually I just said thanks, no thanks, just because I felt so at home where I was, and my life just definitely wasn't ready for a big switch. But this offer was different. My life is now different, the sport is now different. So I made a couple phone calls to friends and family just to see what the general opinions are on a crazy move like this, and I started liking the idea of something different and a fresh start. I just thought to myself, I just turned 30 years old, I have a family now, I've been playing for the same disc golf company for 10 years, my entire 20s. And at the end of a season, I often feel burnt out, and in general, I just feel like I'm lacking a bit of motivation to be like the best player I can be. So this.
All right, that's our first pause right there. That is almost exactly what you just said. You know, talked about some
Totally.
of your motivations. It, some people call it like kind of stuck in a rut. You know, he just
Mm-hmm.
needing something fresh. What are your thoughts so far on what he said?
I really like the way he started it. You know,
Yeah,
it was. I feel like his very first point was just making it clear that he wasn't upset with Discmania. I think that's a classy way to go about it. You know,
for
it's
sure.
he's trying to, you know, be respectful. Like obviously he has a lot of love for Discmania,
Yeah,
and he's making that clear, and
yeah,
it's cool. I
yeah,
think good on him.
yeah. Good point that the sport's changed. His life has changed. Being a dad, thinking about a family. You know, that all things that you got to consider now.
Yeah, I also think it's in other sports it's not. I feel like in other sports it's very rare for an athlete to stay with the same team or the same sponsor or something like that, maybe for their whole career, and that's something that in the past was kind of common with disc golf, and I think it's becoming less and less so. And so I think people being shocked by someone switching, I think we're still in that phase, but I think we're kind of getting away from that. You know, it makes sense somewhat that people would want to get a change up. Hoagie, are you stuck, Hogan?
What do you want to do, buddy? You want to go out there? Come on, let's go. Sorry, y'all. This 10-year-old dog got to make decisions. Come on, buddy, let's go.
Good boy, Hogan.
We'll let him outside real quick. Come on, buddy.
We'll see you later, Hoagie.
He wants to leave.
Just standing there looking like.
All right. You want to say the last sentence
Yeah.
again or something?
Yeah, I was just saying that I think we might be kind of leaving the period of time behind where it's like common for someone to want to stay with one company for their whole career or one manufacturer. Like I think in other sports, especially team sports more so, it's super common for players to bounce around teams and stuff like that. And,
Totally.
Yeah, it's not too surprising to me that he decided to leave. Like I guess I wouldn't be too surprised hearing that from anyone in the
From
scene.
here on out.
Yeah, pretty much.
That makes sense. All right, well, let's see what else Simon has to say right here.
Totally.
Kind of started feeling like a now or never situation for me. Just everything in my life feels like it's at a turning point, and I knew that if I don't do this now, I'm probably staying at Discmania for the rest of my career, which again, I would have been okay with. But the more phone calls I made and the more I started thinking about this every single day for weeks, the more I started falling in love with this idea of something different, something new, a fresh start, and a new motivation. So I made the decision that I want to give this offer a serious chance, and I started calling the higher ups at Discmania, just trying to figure stuff out. There was a time where I was probably on the phone with Eagle every single day, multiple times, for a couple of weeks. And the phone calls, dozens of phone calls with Discmania, were not fun or easy. They were very tough and sad. And the more we dove deep into these discussions of me potentially leaving the team, the tougher it got for me. the phone calls went on, and Discmania, of course, offered me the world to stay. On the one hand, I knew that I wanted this fresh start, a new motivation. And on the other hand, I knew that if I leave, I'm giving up a lot. I'm giving up my family and something extremely safe. Discmania is my family, and leaving your family is really scary. I will lose the Crush Boys, I'll lose my signature discs, of course, all my logos, and the entire Discmania community that I helped build for the last decade. Am I crazy for letting all that go? Maybe, probably, maybe not. I don't know, but all I kept hearing from my friends and family was listen to your heart. And the closer I listened, the more it kept telling me, go. So, despite all the sad and scared feelings I'm feeling, I've decided to follow my heart and start this new chapter in my life and in my career. And there's just no other way than for me to go into this with the most motivation ever and excitement. And I can't wait to share future details and projects with you guys. It's going to be crazy and awesome. But before we get into anything new, there's one last big Discmania announcement to make, which I have right here. Yes, the Doombird 4 was produced and printed before this decision was made and before we knew that this was happening. And there's a pretty good amount of them, and we talked about all the different options, what we could possibly do with these discs, and we didn't want to trash them. So we've decided to make a Simon Lizotte Discmania farewell release with these absolutely gorgeous Horizon plastic Doombird 4s, FD3s. This made it way tougher, obviously, for me to leave just because it is such a cool looking disc. They feel absolutely amazing, and I'm really sad that I'll never throw this. But you can. A limited amount of these will be released on Monday, January 9th. That's in 2 days. If you want to be part of this, I, of course, as always, thank you for the huge support. I want to thank everyone at Discmania, all the fans, all the staff, for everything. It's been an absolutely amazing 10 years, and I couldn't have been more happy or proud to represent the Shield. And the only way I know to end this video is with a little montage of my favorite moments of the last 10 years of my life. I hope you enjoy, and thank you. Big hearts. Love you all. Peace.
Wow, man. Got the goosies again. This is a podcast of goosies.
Totally.
You could tell that was hard for him.
It looked super hard. It felt, yeah, you could feel his emotions big time in that, and that was really cool to watch.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
super professionally done. You know, I'm proud to say I'm a disc golfer after I watch stuff like that. You know, he's doing things that are new in our sport, and he's doing them in the right way.
totally.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Simon's a stand-up guy, and
Class act. Wish him the best in his future. We're not going to speculate as to where he's going.
no need.
Yeah, no need to. I'm sure we'll hear in the coming days. But, man, that's pretty heavy. Pretty heavy disc golf news.
Absolutely.
It's what people speculated. There's been a lot of rumors for a month
Yeah.
or so.
It's funny how small-knit the community is.
Yeah.
It feels like it's hard for a pin to drop without someone on the other side of the country hearing about it, but
It's true, man. A lot of pins are dropping too at the moment. A lot of, blocks coming into their homes. Tetris analogy.
I love
there.
Tetris.
Yeah. Speaking of those though, yeah, we got like Emerson Keith going. What do you think about that big Lone Star push, man?
Lone Star made a big push this year.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Not just on the pro players, but they got like, a street team or whatever together of like 800 people or something.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man.
I knew that they had something like that working, and
Yeah.
I'd heard a few people here and there.
I heard that they didn't even decline anybody.
if someone wanted to be on there,
Yeah, if you applied, you got it.
wow,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a genius program actually. There's
To really just get those discs out there and get them seen. And
yeah. I think that they're still paying for the frisbees. I think they maybe get a discount future orders and whatever else. But he's still making money on the frisbees, even and giving to him at a discount. So pretty genius move on his part. Get a bunch of capital made, get his frisbees out, and then that pro team too.
Yeah, that
Nico, Emerson,
Chandler Kramer they kept. Yeah. I think there's a couple others maybe even.
Yeah, I think there is. There's a local guy, Jaden Rye, who's from DFW. He's only 995 rated, but I played with him at the USDGC, and I think he had one of the top 5 hottest rounds of the year. He shot like a 1070, 1080,
Jeez.
Something like that.
Nice.
And he's just a kid too.
Okay.
He's kind of from the sticks in Texas, over by Brock Cummings course. There's a new one out by Sela Ranch.
Okay.
Blackberry. Cool. I still need to hit it, Brock. If you're listening, I'm coming out there. But yeah, that kid's got some promise as well. So they did pretty good there. What else is there? Some other players dropping.
I know Thought Space Athletics is making a pretty big push this year too. They're definitely getting some people in. They got Maria.
Yeah.
Thomas Gilbert. They make some really cool designs, and
yeah,
their discs feel nice.
Stamps are top tier. I mean, it's MVP plastic, isn't it?
MVP plastic, yeah. I think they get some of those. Do they get some of the triple foils and everything too?
I think so.
Yeah. Their stuff looks sweet.
That's incredible technology.
It really is.
And once you have an artist who understands what you can do with it, like that's half of the battle. There's the capabilities once you understand that, and Thought Space obviously does.
Oh yeah.
MVP is a great partner for them. They must be selling a bunch of frisbees though. That's a pretty big team that they've gotten themselves. Because Eric Oakley's on it already.
They had Matt Bell.
Yeah, Bell's been on it.
Yeah.
Are they California based?
I honestly don't know. Yeah. I kind of feel like they're
Northeast based.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, that sounds right actually.
Massachusetts or Maine or something. But I can't remember.
Yeah, cool push by them. Shows you, that you don't have to be a major manufacturer at this point. Right. Infinite's come up, sponsoring a bunch of people. There's a lot of options now in disc golf.
There really are. More and more international options too. Like, I know Clash and Cataplast and Castaplast.
Yeah, Clash. They just announced a huge team as well.
I didn't see too many details on that, but we got a little coffee delivery.
Bucks on delivery. Let me pull up this Clash. Thank you, Jordan.
Hoagie brought it.
Thanks, Hoagie.
Are you chilling, Hoagie, or what are you doing?
Make your decision.
You coming in? Come on, let's go. You can do it. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Hoagie, you want your spot back? Come on, bud.
Get up there. Come
Hoagie.
on. Make a play, son. Make a play. Do it. Do it, Hogan.
You got plenty of
room, We're going to have to cut this if you don't make a play soon. All right, you going out? Oh, you just dropping down? Okay.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, that is a good spot. All right, I'm going to look up this Clash team, actually. So that was interesting to me as well. They had some dollars freed up after Europe last year.
Right.
See if we can find the team. I don't have Jamie. Hey, Jamie, pull that up. Oh, yeah, they got Scott Withers.
Okay, wow.
They got Eric Stinchcomb, Eric Oakley, James Proctor was the one that surprised me.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's got game.
He does.
Fantastic player.
Proctor's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know the name. Toured full-time last year for the first time, I think.
Yeah, I feel like in the past he'd done little mini summer tours, but he hit the road for a good 6 months or so this past year.
Right. He had been a teacher in the area, went up to Seattle, taught for a little while, I think, and then...
Sounds right.
Yeah, dedicated it to disc golf, and the dude's fantastic. So good at Frisbees. So that's crazy. Clash coming out strong. That's a Finnish company. with maybe the most interesting names in
They
the
got
game.
yeah, like food-based names like
The cupcake, the popcorn, the honey, the salt, the ginger. Yeah, those are interesting.
Those
But
are good.
yeah, I mean, there's
Uh,
a spot for everybody at this point. Disc golf is booming. It's fun to
Booming.
it's fun to be a part of.
Really is.
And Simon just said that Discmania threw the world at him in his exact words. And if he declined that, think of the options that are gonna come for the youngsters soon.
Right. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, you got a group of kids watching people make millions of dollars playing frisbee, and that's enough motivation to spend every waking moment, getting driven.
Probably just gonna have more and more Gannon Burr types coming in at 16 years old, kicking our butts.
Dude, that kid is so good. The putting display he put on at USDGC was
Seriously unmatched. Like that was amazing.
one of a kind.
Death putts, 60 feet. Who cares? Just bang,
On
bang,
the
bang.
pole.
To win by one.
Crazy,
Amazing.
man, crazy. And then the guy he beat too, he was just a couple years older, maybe.
Right.
The sport is we got a bright future. What do you think? To speak on Gannon for a second, is he going to keep this up? I mean, in your mind, is it sustainable? Can anybody? The trajectory. I mean, he's
Yeah, that's hard to say. I think that with his skills, obviously, I mean, he definitely has the potential to keep it up. I think that there's always going to be some ebbs and flows in people's golf game and their mental game, and being so young, it's hard to say. What exactly like growing up will do to his game. I can't imagine that he's going to forget how to play good disc golf anytime in the future. But
seems like all he wants to do is disc golf. He's just constantly
Yeah.
doing it, holding
yeah,
frisbees.
I was going to say you've joked about that with me
Yeah.
before. You're like, we go to dinner and he's got his little pop top D1 or whatever it is in his hands.
Yeah. He's eating his chicken fingers with a frisbee at the team dinners. He's just that says
But
it
he's
all.
a great kid, and
Yeah.
I've definitely enjoyed seeing him come onto the scene and even kicking my butt.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I think he's still getting taller too, which is absolutely crazy to think.
Yeah, I'm looking up to him, and I'm not a short guy.
I bet next time we see him, it will have been a few months. And
He's probably got another couple inches.
dude, probably. Crazy to think about. Is there, speaking about the future, somebody that comes to mind that you think we might see do some work this year that hasn't really popped off just yet?
I bet. I'm sure there will be some.
Yeah.
I feel like
If you had some money and you had to place it on a long shot, let's just say. James's long
see.
shot for the year.
I don't know if I have a specific one, but I feel like the Europeans really made a showing in the United States this year, and I don't think too many of them really played up to their potential here.
Yeah.
So I think as we continue to see more European players make that commitment to touring the United States, I think we'll see more of them getting more and more comfortable over here and really start to play up to their potential and kind of be in the mix for more of the big events.
Yeah, I couldn't have answered that better. They weren't allowed. Well, they got kicked out in 2020. Most of them didn't come back in 2021. It was Silver, Kristen, and Albert really.
Yeah.
And then last year was the first time that they had that opportunity. We didn't see them do as well as we would have thought early in the season, but then as they got comfortable, they started to finish better. I tied Nicholas like 6 rounds in a row from like Vermont through MVP into Pennsylvania before that, and then he just popped, bro.
Popped off at US.
Yeah, left me in the dust, man.
That was cool to see.
He got comfortable. Yeah.
So I think we'll definitely see some more of that this year. I know like Albert, for example, bought an RV in the United States to be able to be comfortable on the road. And that's a huge part of playing well on tour, is finding a way that the travel and that like the living on the road isn't like a huge burden to you, so that you're not wasting all your mental energy on like, I don't know, just being flustered by the travel or by the living arrangements. So that's one thing I'm super excited about the bus, is to have that extra level of comfort this year.
Yeah.
Just feeling comfortable on the road, having more of my own home space out there, and I think that'll definitely free up some mental capacity to put back into the golf.
It does work like that. All right, I just imagined you chilling in your house on wheels this year, cruising around. Imagine you're reading some books.
Reading some books,
Yeah, always reading some books. What have you been reading lately?
My most recent, I actually haven't been reading it, but listening to an Audible series. It's pretty goofy, but I've been loving it. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. The author's Matt Damon, something like that.
Okay.
And I'm a gamer. Like I've played plenty of RPGs growing up, and this is kind of like a literary RPG, if that makes sense. So it's almost like the main character is in like a video game type of a situation, and the audio book is pretty well done. The voice actors are funny, and the premise is kind of crazy. It's this guy Carl, and then his cat are like outside in the middle of the night, and then like all the human built structures in the world like collapse down into the earth. So most of the people of Earth die, and it ends up being like this alien thing where they're almost like farming the earth. And the people that were outside had the option to like enter into this dungeon, and like a lot of the stuff that was absorbed into the earth, they like kind of remake into like dungeon monsters and all kinds of things. So that the guy's leveling up as he goes down in the dungeon levels, and it's kind of silly, but it's a fun one. And
Yeah, it sounds engaging, and
yeah,
the
super
premise is
engaging.
super interesting.
Yeah,
Totally different.
but so I've been into that the last month or so, listening to those. My buddy Rob recommended them, and I actually listened to the first one on the drive from Virginia out to Texas, and got pretty hooked.
What have you been enjoying about Austin, Texas in general? The weather, I know, because we have things that many people don't at this point. Normal days, 71 degrees yesterday.
Totally.
On January 6th. You know, that's
Yeah,
pretty different. What else? Yeah.
I've been obviously loving the weather. It's to have 70-degree sunny days in December, January is pretty special. It makes it easy to get outside. Makes it easy to get out and throw some discs. Been doing a bit of that. I could probably be working a little more and more into my schedule, but I've been loving Barton Springs. Been going swimming quite a bit. Been loving catching some music. There's pretty much any night of the week there's something going on in Austin. And what else have we been doing? Been loving the climbing gym. Had a gym membership there for a little over a month now, and they have like yoga classes, so I've been able to get in some yoga, get in a lot of climbing.
Nice.
Really taking care of the body, and trying to kind of kick it, take it easy, but make sure I'm eating decent and trying to get in some better shape than I might have been in before.
We've seen maybe not more disc golfers climbing, but we've seen disc golfers talking about climbing, maybe videos of climbing a lot more recently. You, Perkins, Kevin, Madison, Calvin,
Totally.
Missy,
and Tom.
There's a bunch of affluent, climbers on tour. What do you feel like is the transfer over into disc golf from the climbing?
I feel like it's, as far as like physicality goes, it's definitely like, having stronger grip strength, stronger hands, and stronger forearms. It might not necessarily mean you like throw further per se, but just having that strength in your like tendons and everything through the hands and forearms, I feel like can't hurt on the disc golf course.
Yeah.
Definitely will experience less fatigue. I can do a longer field work session if my arms are stronger, and I think it helps with injury prevention. Having all the little connector muscles being stronger.
Yeah, and come Sunday at a tournament like Las Vegas or something, when you've been throwing bombs all week,
Totally.
plus the practice rounds, laid into that, it probably makes sense.
Yeah, and climbing's a cool exercise in that you have to like kind of. You'll feel a pressure that you have to kind of deal with. It's like almost like a fear type of a feeling, and I think that translates somewhat to disc golf. Not and like a safety thing that you might feel it with climbing, but just feeling that like pressure, that whether it's like a mental pressure on yourself or like, you know, feeling that and then trying to find a bit of calmness to deal with that pressure, I think is a pretty cool crossover. You know, you can find that in a lot of things, but it's, you know, trusting your body to do what you know it can do. And when there's like, something making that hard. And the more ways that you can practice that kind of thing, I think the better.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're on the wall in a crazy position. You've got the grip that the hand you're looking for. Similar to that moment when things are racing a little bit, you need to just take a deep breath, slow it down.
Totally.
Focus on that shot. I mean, shoot, nobody knows how to do that better than you. One of the calmest guys in the game. Which, let me get this question out. You seem very docile in nature, but to be an extremely good disc golfer, and especially to win at the highest level, you've got to be someone who can buckle down and turn into a killer in the moment. Somebody who's very competitive, and people don't really see that side of you super often. How do you make that transition? I mean, you're in control of what happens in your head as good as anybody ever, I think. Your thoughts, you know, your positivity, your calm. How does that happen? And because those are so different, I feel like. Maybe it's not, though. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong.
It's kind of a hard one to answer. I definitely, I don't know. I think part of it is that I might not be as expressive as some other people.
Yeah.
So I think that I might appear more calm at times than maybe what I feel. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, you know. I think that this past year I could have done better at controlling. I mean, I'm sure everyone could have, but I feel like I might have felt more frustration at times. I had a weird thought. There was like a pretty big meme going around where it'd be like I'd like kick a little stick or something, and people would be like, "Oh, James's unbridled rage."
Yeah, his rage monster.
Yeah, the rage monster meme thing that was going around. I almost feel like something I want to be careful about is that to not, you know, even if it's a small thing like that, like if I'm not like really punching anything hard, still, I think even if you lightly kick something, I don't know. I feel like I just have to be careful to not, like, I'd almost felt like that was positive reinforcement on like bad behavior. Like you don't want to give a dog a treat when it like bites someone.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I didn't necessarily like seeing those memes because it was like, even if it was on a subconscious level, it might have been like reinforcing me to have those negative feelings and to get angry. And it's something I want to be careful not to have.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like I don't know, yelling a curse word or like actually like kicking my bag over or something, just still like doing a little something is still not something I want to have. You know, I want to be able to have a bad shot and accept that I threw it bad and not waste any more thought on it than that, and just be focused on my next shot as much as I can.
Yeah. I see that. You got a bunch of positive attention for doing something that, you know, was not actually what it was being.
Right. Like even if I didn't, it was funny because it was like such a mild display of emotion, but that just because it was a mild display doesn't mean it wasn't a very strong negative emotion in my head. And
and a small outlet, but you know what was.
Yeah, and that's not something I want to like encourage in myself or in anyone else, to be honest.
For sure.
I'm not sure that was kind of a tangent from what you asked. That I'm not. You were asking like how to.
Yeah. How do you specifically? Get from one place to the other?
It's a good question. It's a tough one. I think that I as much as I can, I kind of separate the on the course and like you need like an ego, like you need to believe that you're the best when you're out there on the course, and you need that like almost that drive. And I feel like that doesn't necessarily correlate to my personality off the course super well.
Right.
And so having some sort of separation there and not tying my whole identity to what I do on the course and to my achievements on the course, I think help me kind of separate it, and then I can be hard on myself, and um, I can, you know, try to be a fierce competitor on the course, and then whether that goes super well and I win, or whether it doesn't go well and like maybe I barely cash or something, that that doesn't have to like carry into the weekdays in between the event. And it's a hard separation to make though, like especially immediately after the round. It's like I feel like for like 20 or 30 minutes after the round, that's usually the time when people want to get our autographs and things like that. And sometimes it's like, man, I'm trying to like switch it off, like, you know, like my ego's still yelling at me for missing that putt on 18, and it's like, I know I'm better than that. I'm better than missing that, and that's what you have to believe to win. And it's not necessarily the healthiest mental place to be in when you're off the course or when you're trying to like engage with fans or things like that. So it's definitely a balancing act, and one that I think we're all kind of trying to figure out all the time.
Yeah,
But
for sure, all trying to figure out. And I commend you for the way that you do it. You seem like you switch it off better than most, and turn into this very humble, very likable, friendly guy that you know, is passionate about his friends and music and juggling and all these awesome things that you are. But man, James Conrad, I don't know how long we've been going, but is there anything else you want to bop on before we...
You got any updates for us? What's going on with you, Luke?
James Conrad turning into OKO. I am, man, looking forward to 2023. Looking forward to doing GK Pro stuff again, skin stuff. We've got some new stuff in the works. I love collaborating with friends. I love doing this. I love hanging out with the boys, my FPO friends, whoever it is. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I like doing.
Nice.
And, it's amazing that we get to call this our job.
Yeah, it is. Feel lucky every day.
Seriously, man. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. That's been number 9 from Dallas, Texas. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. How long was it?
I don't know. Felt like a good while, but not crazy long.
Yeah, like an hour or something.
Probably something like that.
See, did I make any phone calls or anything from here? No way, dude.
What?
Kale just sent